Hey folks, it's Brian Fitzpatrick here, and I just wanted to check in and use this week's lull to fill you in on a few things going on here at Moebius Adventures. Um, we skipped this week's session due to a family commitment. My youngest daughter had a choir concert at her high schools, and that conflicted. So hopefully we'll pick up the crazy story with Plunkett, Wyoming, and the hospital, and see what's going on with our great set of characters next week. But I wanted to take this time to spend a little time talking about some of the aliens and asteroids stuff that we've been working on over the last 6 months and then where we're headed. So, Aliens and Asteroids, if you don't know, was our first major release back in 2018. We did a successful Kickstarter in 2017 and released Aliens and Asteroids in February of 2018. And think of it kind of as a combination of Aliens and Starship Troopers and XCOM boiled into a simple role-playing system, which is what we call Inverse 20, and that's what we're using for Tattered Magicks as well. And we released one supplement for it in 2018, which was the Tulkin Prison Colony, and that was from Diana Gunn, who is a great author and provided some fantastic story ideas in there, including our first playable alien race, which was the Tulkin. And so that was really cool back in 2018, and then we hit a bit of a lull. So over the last 6 months, I've been trying to fill that void a bit and release some of the products that we'd had in the works over that middle period, and then all of the work that we had done leading up to the playtest and then the release of the product. We had a bunch of unfinished adventures and supplements that we had planned but never really polished. So in October of 2019, we released the Gray Men Alien Resource Guide, and the Greys are one of the alien races that shows up in the Aliens and Asteroids main book. In fact, there's a little adventure at the back of the book that covers a potential Gray kidnapping that you get to thwart on the moon. Yeah, so this book has a whole bunch of stuff on the Greys, including how to play Greys. There's various types of Greys, a little bit of their back history, some new items, as well as some rules for psionics. So they have big brains, and they can use them to really mess with people. I took some inspiration from classic games like XCOM, some inspiration from Men in Black. The Greys have been around for a very long time. I put my own spin on them. They're a bit of the Frankenstein's monster kind of idea in the Aliens and Asteroids universe. So, yeah, it was fun, and the Greys are awesome. I like playing with them. And they're a good foil for the characters if you don't want to get too crazy with other alien races. After that, we released The Fate of the Solar Chaser, which was by Eric Bloat. Think of this as our love letter to zombies. So we have techno zombies in this particular adventure, and your heroes may not survive. So it is potentially a deadly scenario. It was a lot of fun to work with Eric on this, and we fleshed it out a bit, and that's another great adventure. Then we released The Take, which was the first of the Aliens and Asteroids Interludes series by Jonathan Hicks. And this introduced the idea of the seedy underworld of Aliens and Asteroids criminals. In this case, it was the idea of the Black Circle, which is this group that is shrouded in mystery and thought to be involved with some of the nastiest criminal enterprises across the 5 systems. So The Take was a short adventure that could be dropped into a campaign between other adventures that could potentially lead to other hooks and various things. After that, we released Expansion 1, which was a group of individuals and groups across the Aliens and Asteroids universe, which offered a whole bunch of new backgrounds, some new traits, some new items, just some cool little things that you can add to kind of flesh out characters and make them a little more entertaining. After that, we had interlude number 2. So that was The Target, the follow-up to The Take, and another adventure that involved the Black Circle. And then the last 2 releases that we did earlier this year, we have the Scully Alien Resource Guide, and the Scully were another of the alien races that we introduced in the main book. The Scully are lizard men, sort of like the Gorn in Star Trek, or sort of, they were described as the Tyrannosaurus Rex of Aliens and Asteroids. So there was a war that went on for several months, maybe years, and between the Scully and the Dominion, and then suddenly it just stopped. So there's this possibility of reconciliation between the 2 races and figuring out why they suddenly stopped the war. There's some great new items. There's a bunch of description on the backstory. They're kind of the samurai lizards in Aliens and Asteroids, which was kind of fun to write. And I have some adventures in mind for doing some diplomatic kind of missions with them, and then seeing where they fit into the story down the line. And then most recently, earlier in March, we released the second expansion, which was even more individuals and groups to fit into Aliens and Asteroids. And it's our biggest expansion to date. It was over 40 pages, 10,000 words, and had a whole bunch of stuff in it, including some great new traits, including the ability to not only bump individual attributes by a point here or there, but take on creature traits or alien species traits. So imagine DNA splicing to gain the abilities of some alien species that you find out there, like harder skin or enhanced sight or whatever. And there's a lot of fun little story ideas that are kind of scattered throughout that book. So that was, so we had a bunch of releases over the last few months, which is fantastic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have a few things in the works. We're working on an Aliens and Asteroids card deck, which kind of goes through all the traits with a little picture and a description and how to use it, as well as items and some rules cards. So if you have a question about maybe doing a grab or a shooting in the game, you can take a look and see, it's an attribute-based trait, and you get an advantage if you have the guns trait, and it's based on accuracy. So just little things to hopefully help use at the table as a resource. So we're working on those. Hopefully, drive-through cards will catch up after the holidays, and we can get that together. Excuse me. We're working on the third and final part of Jonathan Hick's adventures around the Black Circle. That one is just about done. I've got the draft almost complete, and we'll get it into editing, and then we can start doing layout. And then after that, we have a number of things that we could do. We're just trying to figure out what's next. I really want to get back to Tattered Magicks, so I believe we're looking at maybe doing an Ashcan release of that sometime later in the year. I just need to finish off the text. So that involves just some writing and rewriting of a few sections. I have it broken into chapters, and that's already like 25 or 30,000 words, so it's pretty long, and it will take a while to lay out. But hopefully we can get that out to you before the end of the year. That's the plan. And yeah, I'm really excited to just keep going with the story that we've started in Plunkett with the vampires and the impending war with the Fae. I have a lot on in the queue as far as figuring out how that's going to come about, and some various phases that may come to pass. I think that war is going to be very interesting between magic and technology, and how is magic going to disrupt the world, and how all of that's going to happen, sort of like the coronavirus, but not as there'll be more of a face to it than an abstract threat like a virus. So yeah, I think we have a bunch of stuff on the horizon that is cool, and I'm still waiting to see what happens with a local gaming convention. We have Kobold Con coming up at the end of April, and now with all of the coronavirus cancellations, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with that. But I'm hopeful. I'm also hopeful that the coronavirus doesn't mean that we have to cancel our weekly games, that kind of stuff. I know that a lot of people are affected. They've recently closed down all of our local school districts, so I know my kids are going to be home, and a lot of kids will be home for the next few weeks. Colleges are being shut down for a while. A lot of businesses are telling people to work from home. It's an interesting time. So hopefully everybody is staying safe and practicing healthy habits to try and keep themselves and their loved ones safe. So hopefully we'll get some gaming in during the madness, but it doesn't get too crazy. So just try and stay safe and enjoy the time as much as you can. So I want to wrap up today. This is going to be a short episode, but I want to read a little thing that I wrote about werewolves in Tattered Magicks. This is an excerpt from the lab notes of Dr. Oliver Trent, PhD, and NPC extraordinaire. And he says, "It has always been my theory that the existence of shapeshifters in myth and legend throughout human history was based on a small kernel of truth. Though these creatures have been filed away as mere stories, I believe that such individuals exist and have a unique trait. Every strand of DNA in the body is capped with a telomere. Each time a cell duplicates, the telomeres get a little shorter, and the DNA starts to fray. When they fray too far, the DNA can no longer duplicate properly, and certain cellular functions begin to break down. I propose that shapeshifters are in a unique position to renew their body's telomeres each time they change shape. Though they may age normally while in their primary or secondary forms, whatever process is used to shift one body into another somehow renews the telomeres a bit. This essentially slows the aging process to an almost imperceptible pace. The damage incurred in changing shape has to be restored somehow by the process itself, improving the rate of healing so the creature can survive to fight again another day. If this theory is correct, we may be dealing with some creatures centuries old wandering the planet." So we have a new player, Kevin, who might be coming in April, and he's pondering playing a werewolf of indiscriminate age. And it should be interesting to see how that plays into things as far as shape-shifting and what he plans on doing with his backstory. So I'm excited to see how this all fleshes out in gaming terms, and we're still, adding little bits and pieces to the rules here and there, and fleshing a few things out. So, like I said, I'm excited to try and get this into you guys' hands, and we have a lot of ideas as far as expansions and new rules and that kind of thing, so that we can eventually cross the streams. There's a wonderful game from FASA back in the day called Shadowrun. They just released a new version not too long ago. And Shadowrun was always a wonderful concept for me. I loved the idea of having traditional fantasy races and monsters in a world with technology. So you could kind of merge magic and technology. So ultimately, my goal is to have a little bit of cyberpunk and a little bit of fantasy, so you can kind of cross the streams when you want. So I'm excited to see how that all plays out. But the rules themselves are built in such a way that that is definitely possible. So genre swapping and crossing is going to happen. I'm just telling you ahead of time. So anyway, that's about all I've got for today. Hopefully next week we're back to the table, and we'll have the continuing saga of Plunkett, Wyoming to relay, and we'll see what happens with our characters who might be in trouble with the police after their little bout with the vampires. Anyway, that's it for now. Hopefully everybody's doing okay and staying safe. I hope everybody stays healthy enough to game some during the various time that we have to do it. And yeah, until next time, this is Brian Fitzpatrick signing off. Thanks for staying in the loop. If you want to help us out, all of our products are for sale at DriveThruRPG. Just do a search for Moebius Adventures and you'll find all of our Aliens and Asteroids products, as well as our System Neutral supplements. Right now they're on a great sale for GM's Day. Everything pretty much is 40% off. So if you pick one of them up, please drop us a review and let us know what you think. Also, as always, we're on social media. Check us out at moebiusadventures.com. That's our website, Moebius adventures.com. We just recently updated it. It's got a nice new look. And there you'll find links to all of our social media accounts: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We have a really active, a good group on Facebook. So join us and share some of your own adventures. And if you have questions, feel free to drop us there. Or you can go to the anchor.fm page for the Moebius Loop and leave us a message there. We'd love to hear from you and answer any questions you may have in a future episode. And then finally, we have our Patreon page. So again, search for Moebius Adventures and you should find us. Patrons get early access to rules, sneak peeks of upcoming merchandise, free or at cost copies of some products each month, etc. So drop us a few coins and help us keep making great products for you. We've been doing a lot of great work for Aliens and Asteroids, and looking forward to getting Tattered Magicks out to you, and then we can continue the process with that. And down the line, I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of Conan. So I like that style of sword and sorcery. So we'll see how that goes in a future game release, maybe. So thanks for supporting Moebius Adventures games and giving our podcast a listen. And yeah, like I said before, stay safe and keep on gaming. Thanks. Stay in the loop.